how on earth did the Big 12 go from what I thought was dead in the water to now a place of thriving prominence?
Yeah, Isaac, I'm going from covering one team to 16 teams, and I will not sleep based on what this conference is in college basketball. How did the Big 12 do it? Let me be honest with you. We're giving Brett Yormark a ton of credit for being such a savvy businessman, but really, he just said yes. ESPN came with a deal, and Brett Yormark said, "Oh, yep, great." What started this avalanche is ESPN went to the Pac-12 with a similar TV deal, and the Pac-12 said no. And that was it. The Pac-12 decided, hey, we don't want to exist anymore. And the Big 12 was open for business. That the Brett Yormark, as great as he is, this all starts with George Kliavkoff and the leadership of the Pac-12 deciding to shoot themselves in the foot.
And Larry Scott before him, by the way.
And Larry Scott before him, and the terrible Arizona State president, Michael Crow, who's the worst person that exists right now, who supported Scott so much, and George Kliavkoff as well. So how did the Big 12 get here? Look, I want to give a ton of credit to Brett Yormark, but I also want to give a ton of credit to George Kliavkoff. Thank you very much for your service, George, in making the Big 12 still the number one basketball conference in America.
And here's the thing, though, Drake. I mean, yes, saying yes seems like it should be easy, right? But plenty of people have fumbled that simple answer from ESPN, Kliavkoff, Pac-12 examples, and there are others around the country. So, like, as you've started looking at the bigger Big 12 picture and talking to folks, whether it's ADs or players or fans or whomever, how are Big 12 folks like feeling about Yormark's ability to say yes and to bring in where the Pac-12 couldn't?
I want to be very clear that there's something, a defined line in this conversation. And on one side, you have the way that your administrators, your fans are going to react. On the other side, you have the athletes. From an administrative standpoint, you can't help but be excited, unless you're Michael Crow for some reason, or the AD, Ray Anderson. Those guys it's beyond me. You just can't help but be excited if you're everybody else, though. Anybody with common sense, that is, to be in this position as a Power 3 conference, right? The ACC has not gone out to poach anybody else, and they're not in a position to do so. The Big 12 is overtaking them quickly, which is a shock to even me, someone who has supported this league for 5 years or more now. To me, where that line is, where fans and ADs and administrators love the new Big 12 and love Brett Yormark's business savvy, there's the other side where it's the athletes. And to be honest with you, Isaac, I don't think they care as much as we think they do. There are not a lot of athletes that are screaming, "Oh, I love playing in the Big 12. I'm committing to X school to play in the Big 12." The only conference with that cult type of allegiance is the SEC.
That's right.
Everybody chants SEC. Nobody chants Big 12. Nobody chants ACC or Big 10, and certainly not Pac-12. How do the athletes view it? I'm sure they're excited to have some new, unique matchups. But when you tell your starting point guard that now your team is in the Big 12 and your school is going to make, say, 10, 15 more $1 million a year, why is he going to care? He's not seeing a dime of that. He's not. Maybe he gets a fun new upgrade to his locker, but odds are he's not going to see a tangible effect of that move. So you get that line. A lot of folks are really happy. The athletes, I think they could care more.
That's so interesting with it. What about the fan base? Does the fan base seem to be like, let's Brett Yormark up on our shoulders and parade him around town because we're so thrilled with what he's done? Like, is that where the fan bases are at?
100%. Brett Yormark can have a free beer at any town except for Provo in the Big 12. That's a free cougar tail for Yormark. I'll take a mocktail. Let's do it. Yeah. He has been just the perfect leader, the perfect guy to say yes, right? He has not been too cocky. He is a businessman first, but also a college football fan, a college basketball fan. People keep tweeting that they've got this idea in their head that Brett Yormark is this stone cold killer, and to a point he is, but he's also a fan of college athletics, right? He's not trying to kill tradition and bury the Pac-12. Brett Yormark is just marrying the lore, the aura of college athletics with business, which is what it always has been, and where a lot of conferences struggle. They don't put them together. That's what he's doing, and it's masterful. I think every fan is excited about Brett Yormark, especially as upset as people were at Bob Bowlesby when he was the commissioner of the Big 12, that sentiment has changed. And let us not forget, Bob Bowlesby brought in Cincinnati, BYU.
That's right.
He brought in Houston and UCF. A lot of credit to that guy, because the Big 12 is where they are because Bob Bowlesby, he started the Avalanche.
Yeah. We have to include that name in these conversations. It's been funny to me. We don't have to talk about this, but I've been even thinking, like, what if somebody like Yormark had become the Pac-12 commissioner? Would they be the one, like how would that change what the history has been? Just somebody who was willing to say yes in the Pac-12. Man, interesting stuff. Now, here's the thing. You just, Drake, you talk about UCF. Yeah. And that starts me thinking on the Eastern time zone. And then you start looking at getting in the Arizona schools. And Arizona is one of those weird states like Indiana where sometimes they're in daylight savings time, sometimes they're not. Right now they are, and they're on Pacific time. And that means when you combine these 16 schools that will make up your conference a year from now, the Big 12 will cover literally all 4 time zones on mainland USA. Now, I'm kind of an old fogey. He's like, man, I want this regional thing, but I get it. Like, I get this desire for coast to coast coverage of a conference where on a Saturday you could kick off a football game at noon Eastern. Yeah. And then you could kick off a game at every time slot along the way. And the dead last time slot on the Pacific coast as the East Coasters are going to bed. Or for our prospects here in basketball, you could tip off at noon and do all that same kind of stuff. How important is it, or what does it do for the Big 12 to have that kind of literal coast to coast and everything in between coverage?
It keeps you in the loop. First and foremost, it keeps you in the loop. The Big 10 has already done it. They've decided they want to go the coast to coast route, and now the Big 12
got a mountain time zone though, my man.
Yeah, they don't. They are coast to coast, but they got a little gap there in between. And now with the Big 12, you prove we can do it too. You just did that. We can do it too. The SEC does not have that. They have not made a commitment to go coast to coast. The ACC has not either. If you're the Big 12, it can only help your branding that now you have every time zone lined up. And to me, I'm going to hate it. I'm going to hate the 10 p.m. tip-off Central Time between Arizona and Baylor. But it's something we're going to have to get used to and live with at some point here. And I do like the idea that Big 12 will be wall-to-wall. I mean, this is going to be a full day of the best basketball conference in America playing marquee games. You're going to turn on ESPN and see Kansas playing Baylor, and then you're going to see Arizona playing against BYU, and then you're going to see TCU playing Kansas State, and they're all going to be in succession, and I love it, man. I just love that the Big 12 has that. The Big 12 is now, and I'm going to say it 3 times on this show, I will. The Big 12 in basketball is what the SEC is in football, plus some.
Plus some. Some SEC folks are not nonplussed about that, but it's a great conversation.
Take that.
Now, Drake, here's the thing. I want to have a conversation about that, about will the Big 12 be able to maintain that status as they grow from 10 to 14 to 16? What's that going to look like? We're going to dive into that conversation here in just a second.